came here as a student. I got accepted at Sapienza University, and I'm studying global humanities, or you could call it history.
Wow.
Global history. So do you know why I would say that it's important for even Africans to focus on the world?
Okay.
It's because that since I started doing that, or since I started learning the history of the world and other people, including Africa, I started to understand why Africans behave the way they do,
Okay.
why Africans are treated the way they are, and why basically you have a real understanding of what's going on now.
Changing the narratives with Mr. B.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you. It's good to meet you too.
Thank you. And I must confess, without no confusion, that you are beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so please, I'm going to ask you one or two questions, right? Through this interview, I know a lot of people are going to benefit from it, all right? Okay, before I will come back to you to give you just a few seconds to introduce yourself to the audience. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, all my great viewers, depending on the place you are watching us from. We are back again with another episode of this program, Changing the Narratives, saying it the way it is in the city of Rome. We are here with one of our big sister, all the way from Gambia, right?
Zambia.
Zambia. All right, not Gambia this time, it's Zambia. All right. So I'm just going to be giving her a little second for her to introduce herself properly. And before then, I just want to urge you to stay tight to the end of this interview. As we do say, we do reserve the best till the end. You can only get it all if you can wait till the end. All right, without wasting much of your time, let us turn to our sister as she introduces herself to you. Please, can you introduce yourself to them?
Okay. My name is Matimbankamo.
Okay.
I'm from Southern Africa, particularly Zambia, Lusaka,
Okay.
and I've been in Rome for about a year and a half. I came here as a student. I got accepted at Sapienza University, and I'm studying global humanities, or you could call it history.
Wow.
Global history.
The history, I hope it's not the history of Rome or the Western world.
No,
Okay.
it's an all-inclusive. That's why it's called global history. It's the history of the world from 1300 to date. So we look at every continent individually and how each continent interacts and influences the other through time. So we look at trade, we look at marriages, wars, and how they brought the world together.
Okay, so I urge you on my own to please focus on the history of Africa.
But I know the history of Africa.
Yeah, no, you know why? Because a lot of people have told or said some bad narratives about our history. And I believe it takes only us to study our history and also to be able to put this right, set the pace right.
Yes.
You understand me? So having people like you diving into that dimension, I believe it will do us a lot of whole good if you can do more on Africa and bring out the lights which have been hidden for years. You understand? Okay, so notwithstanding, I'm not telling you not to focus on the world, because the more we look at them, the more we know exactly where they are going to.
So do you know why I would say that it's important for even Africans to focus on the world?
Okay.
It's because that since I started doing that, or since I started learning the history of the world and other people, including Africa, I started to understand why Africans behave the way they do, why Africans are treated the way they are, and why basically you have a real understanding of what's going on now. And some people wouldn't like what they find, but the truth is that everything is connected, everything is historical. Even you and me in Rome right now, the way we are treated or the way we behave ourselves is dependent on history. It's dependent on how people have interacted in the past. So for example, I'll tell you that Rome is still very young, or Italy as a whole is still very young in terms of accepting and interacting with Africans. It's not one of the countries that had a lot of Africans coming through like America or others. So there's still, a little bit of skepticism, but you only understand that when you understand the history. Maybe Venetians had, a few African slaves or traded with a few Arabs, but they never had that integration before. And there are countries that have had long time to integrate with Black people, whether it's in a bad way or good way, that now they are used to seeing and living with them. So it's a very helpful perspective to have of the whole world.
Thank you so much, because as I said, we have educator on the screen today. Please sit tight, because we are going to dive deep into another dimension which you never expected on this interview. There is something you said before I should come into your motive of choosing to study history, but there's something you said before, that there is a reason why these people, Italians, are treating us the way they are treating us.
Yeah.
And even the world, the way they look at African or Africa as a continent,
Yes.
there is a reason for it. Being an historian, can you just please educate us? I'm not interviewing you. You are here to educate us now
Yeah.
in terms of this history and what we need to know in regards to the reason why you believe, according to what you have read now so far, why we are being treated in this place the way we are being treated.
Okay. So I'll start with a disclaimer.
All right?
I've only been studying for 2 years, so I'm not an expert.
All right.
So I'm going to mix what I've read and what I have observed,
Okay.
and I put the two together. I hope it makes sense.
Yes.
So the history of Africans and Europe or other parts of the world began way before slavery. We always attribute the relationship we have with white people, Europeans, with colonization or slavery. We think that's where it began, but that's not true. There was a relationship beforehand. It was based on trade. There were kings and different nations in Africa that traded with Asia and traded with Europe on equal terms. Then what began after Columbus reached found America in sorry for the years, I will not embarrass myself with trying to remember the years.
Okay.
After that, slavery began, and the way it began, it was black people. I know this is an unpopular opinion, but it's history.
Okay.
Black kings and different people began to sell Africans as slaves. So most of the first Africans who came to Europe, or when they came to the Americas in large numbers, did not come here as free men. They did not come on equal terms. They came as people sold by their own people, if I must say that myself.
Okay.
So there's already that history, that shame on our part, and there's the way we are being viewed by the people receiving us. So I don't know if that adds up already. It's like when you go to your friend's house, when you visit your friend's house, if you visit a friend of yours who you've known for a long time, you have the same job, you have the same life, you receive them differently from the way you receive someone who's come to work for you.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying what people do here is good, but I have an understanding of people's psychology. So because of the way Africans, or many Africans, entered Europe, that perception still persists. But we must not forget, and we must not lower ourselves or feel bad, because the relationship between Africans and Europe began way before colonization. And those respectable relationships that are based on trade or politics still persist after colonization. So it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something that once you understand the bits of it, you don't feel anger. Okay. You feel the need to, like what you are doing, change the narrative. Because you know there are people in Rome who have seen black people who drive, black people who've made it. I met a man who lived here for 30 years, and he said, it's not easy to integrate given our history, and it's not easy to make these people accept you. But once you push through, you persevere, you understand, you find that there's one or two good people who are like those people who wanted to trade with Africans on equal terms, people who see you as an equal, and it becomes worth it, in my opinion.
So there's something, I thank you so much for that view.
Yeah.
And during the course of your trying to educate us, you make mention of one thing, that the way they look at us, it started way back, just the way our kings then treated our people by selling them to these very people.
Yes.
Because in my own place, they do say, if the owner of a thing call it dustbin, the one that does not own it will use it to pack rubbish.
Rubbish, exactly.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
If you cherish this dress, definitely I'm going to cherish it the way you cherish it. But if you say it's just a rag, then I will help you to use it to clean the floor.
Exactly. And you even be worse.
You understand me?
Yes.
Okay, now, are you not telling me that still on that very vision that was set before by our kings, by our elites, are still something which these people are still standing on, just based on the way we now, by this present time, presenting ourselves in line with what was set in the time past.
Yes.
That is still the reason why these narratives about us still
Persist.
persist.
Yes. So the persistence is on two sides.
All right.
And that's why I agreed to do this. I was very happy because most people would come and tell you that these people should change, just the Europeans or white people, the world should change their attitudes towards
All right.
Africans. That's true. They have an obligation to treat us with respect. But there's one thing that is the biggest problem, in my opinion, the way we also see ourselves. Like what you came to tell me when you wanted us to do this. You talked about how Africans themselves perceive Africans who come here. It's our friends, our brothers, our sisters who are telling bad stories about us. It's not the white people here. It's our friends at home. It's us who are here who are telling the bad stories. Like the person who goes to Europe only goes to do this. It's not the white people saying it. So why are we adopting a narrative that has been handed to us by people who saw us in a particular light? Like if they saw us as slaves, we know we are not, or we are not beneath anybody. Why do we also accept those narratives? Because I hear people where I come from elevating the white man, elevating Europeans, and anybody who comes, even people with degrees, people with good credentials, are expected to lower themselves as it was before. So before we can ask the Europeans to change, or anybody in front of us to change, we have to change ourselves. What do we do when we come to places like this?
Okay.
Do we spend time complaining? Do we spend time working hard? Do we spend time doing what they expect us to do? Because I can stand here and say, I know our struggles are real, but I can stand here and say, it's been difficult here, everything is hard, I can't find a job, I can't what. But even in my country or anywhere else in the world, I will face challenges. And then that's what makes the exceptional black man or exceptional black woman stand out the more when they persevere where there's so much adversity. So I'm not saying our fellow black people here or outside should not complain or talk. But firstly, what do you gain out of it? I don't see anything you gain. But there's always a gain when you work hard. Secondly, you can't make other people change. You can't make people treat you with respect. When in Rome, that phrase is not just for when you're in Rome. Wherever you go, even when you visit another country in Africa, you have to respect the rules that are there. For us, it's 2 times more difficult because when you're black, there is already an assumption of you. But it should not stop us from working hard. I'm so encouraged every time I see black people in Rome doing something different from what people expect them. Driving, assimilating, learning the language, and not complaining, because it shows me that they have decided to make it wherever they are, despite the color of your skin. And that's the best revenge if you think about it. When you can show the white man that you are able to achieve despite what they have put in front of you. That's how I feel. So the burden is not on anybody. It's on we Africans. Where we come from and why we're here. What we say about each other matters. I also don't see a lot of unity among black people here. And I understand it's also connected to the history I'm talking about. When a black person comes here, they want to be treated as best as they can. And the best way to avoid trouble is to avoid your fellow black person, not to be seen together. Or, there's very few people who stand together, take care of each other. Like there's no sense of real community where you feel we can go here, we can create groups and stand up for ourselves. There are very few people who are doing this here because everybody is rushing to do their own thing, make their own money. But our story would change if we also came together. For some people, like you said, money is not the first thing on your mind. You want to live with people. You have goals to achieve. You want to see a future where, that's one thing I really want. I want to see more black people driving here, not riding bicycles, delivering food. I don't want to see that. But we come here with that expectation. We lower expectations. We don't want to work hard and we want to complain. I don't want to sound harsh and I don't want to sound like I have not suffered here any racism. I have. But I have found that the little time in which I suffer a relapse of someone's judgment who does not know me is not worth the time when I will be free to do what I want. Because wherever I'll be, home or here, I will still have to work hard. That's the underlying principle. Wherever you are, you have to work hard. And also, the difference of being black in a place like this is not a disadvantage. It makes you stand out, in fact. So the way you carry yourself, not that I'm saying you dress well, you do, of course dress well, take care of yourself, but if you understand who you are, you walk around feeling that way, like you are doing, you're creating new narratives, you find that people treat you differently, naturally. They respect you the way you respect yourself. So you know why you're here. Focus on why you're here. And you find that doors open. It's because that's another weird thing. I know Africans will appreciate this because we are Christians. Nobody opens the doors for you. So even when you find yourself in a place like this, in my opinion, you don't depend on Italians to be kind to you for things to work out for you. You depend on your prayer, your goal, and they open. I found such wonderful people, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100 every few months, who just blow my mind with kindness. Where I'm like, oh, I would have loved to go home, but wow, there's one person who smiled at me that day, one person who helped me, one person who offered to carry something, or who treated me like a person. And those are the things you focus on. I know I've talked too much.
No, sorry. You know, I just kept silent in order for you to have the floor, because honestly, it's not all about me. It's all about the people out there. I believe this video is going to go a long way. You understand me?
You know, I lost myself in the.
No. You are right on point. You understand me? Because the deep things you are revealing to us here is a deeper revelation. You understand me? Which is rare to get. You understand? And you spoken to us emphatically as a historian. You understand? Because it takes only a deep sense of human who knows the basic fact of problems to be able to resolve it, right?
Yes.
Okay, that is what you have just done. You didn't talk much, you are not talking too much, and we still want to hear more. Okay, now, still again, you make mention of one thing which I quite hold fast or strong, that we coming here, we want Italian to treat us in a good sense, with a good sense of humor. Then first of all, you ask yourself a question. This is a question we are asking ourselves now, Africans.
Yes.
What is your motive of coming? How did you come here?
My personal motive.
Okay, yeah, that's what we are asking. We should ask ourselves first this question. Based on what you've just related to us now, we first of all ask ourselves, and even when we happen to be here, how did you present yourself? And what position, how did you position yourself? First of all, because it is the way you position yourself that people will see you to also look up to you or respect you or disrespect you.
Okay.
Like you now, you came here for a study.
Yes.
Right? Nobody now will, whether Italian or Americana or whoever it may be, will come to you now to see you or treat you like someone who is standing at the front of the supermarket to beg. Although they might look at you as a black woman, they might assume not knowing who you are by trying to approach you like a normal street girl.
That happens all the time.
Yeah, but when they not come close to you, I find out the content that is in you, definitely their mindset will also change.
Yep.
But if they come close to you and find out that what they expected is what you are, they are going to treat you even lesser than how they treat other people.
And that's why I said the burden is on
us.
On us. It's not on them. So yeah. I also have another stereotype to, first I have the first thing I want to say. There was a lady here in the 17th century. She was an artist. You can imagine that. She was a wonderful artist, well respected, but people still found a way to insult her. I've also found here that even when I wear a suit on a day I'm going to present at school, it doesn't matter how good I'm feeling about myself, it doesn't matter how well I dress, someone will just find a way of reminding me you are black and you are nothing. And for some people, they need that. They need to do that to you. And the question now is how often are you going to allow someone to dictate the way you see yourself? Coming to the point of when someone approaches you or talks to you, I've also had that problem here to the extent where even the stereotypes we have about other people, for example, Arab people, I have heard stereotypes about them. When I came here, I was harassed in by in a way the way I don't want to offend anybody, but you know, where someone fulfills a stereotype. A man, for example, fulfills the stereotype. You don't know, certain groups of men are like this, and I came here and I found that stereotype fulfilled. So even them, for example, that group of people, it is upon them to act differently. But I've noticed that Africans, any other group, when we come here, we forget who we are, we forget where we came from. Most importantly, we forget why we came here. For me, it was, for other people, you plan for years to come somewhere, you think about it, you save money. For other people, it happens like spontaneously. For me, it was spontaneous. I applied for something and I was lucky to get it, and I found myself here. But the narratives people have of us will continue. What helped me, or what I would say, how to answer your question, how I presented myself, how I staged myself, was unique because when I came, I did not study about the people. I didn't know what they were like. I didn't know what to expect. And most importantly, I had not come from an area where I had been oppressed before. There was no war in my country. There's no racism in my country. I had no idea those things happen. So I was angry all the time when someone tries to belittle me, because I'm like, but why do you act like this? Then I read and read and I listened and listened and I said, oh, I see. There's nothing I can do about people's perception of Africans. The best thing I can do is push through, work through the years to be like those few great people who stand out. That's the only way to do it, because I'm not blaming the Africans who come here, but when you come here, you forget, once you forget why you are here, you fall into the pool of stereotype. You become anything. But me, when I came here, I was in a battle initially because I wanted to prove to everybody I have a family, I have a home, I have my father's land. I wanted to tell everybody all those things. Why do you think I need to be here? Why do you think even the anger is building up now. But eventually I started saying, I will stand in who I am. I will not fight with anybody. I will not prove anything. Let my work speak for itself one day. And that's the beauty of patience. That's the only virtue of patience. You wait, but you also don't lose sight of why you came to do something. That's the only way your story will be different. If you don't have a goal, you go with everybody. And that's sad. Or it's not sad for the Europeans. That's another thing you should not forget. Any problem the African faces here, as a whole, individuals, collectively, they don't suffer. They don't even think about it. They don't lose sleep. But once you make your mark, you start sleeping. So don't rush to sleep. Learn the rules of the game, and then you can play. That's what I would say.
That is deep. That is a very deep revelation. You understand me?
Oh,
Thank you so
wow.
much. I really appreciate it, because honestly, the first day I met you, I knew that there was something in you that you need to release to the audience.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
now, let us come back a little bit to your own personal aspect. I think you have talked to the audience. Now, let us learn from you, from your own life now, personal life experience. Like, you came here, as you said, for study. Like, how you say you are here for approximately 1 year plus now, something.
1.5
One
years.
and a half. Okay. Like, how long is this study going to take you?
Roughly 3 to 4 years.
3 to 4 years.
Yes.
Okay, so you are just at the middle, just close to the middle, right?
I'm in the middle. So it's a 3-year course. And then if you are not done, it's very flexible. You can have an extra year to complete the exams you have not taken.
Okay.
So it could be 3 years or 4 years. So I think I guess I'm around halfway.
Okay. So what was the process that got you this opportunity to study here? How was it like? Because I believe through this very process, if you can detail it for us, a lot of people are still out there who would want to like proceed and they don't really know what to do or how to go or navigate through it.
Okay. So I would say follow your interest
Okay.
because that's another thing. I don't know why you would decide to get up from your home in Africa, for example, and go somewhere without a goal. So for me personally, I had a goal, and my goal is very aligned with reading. I've always been good with history. I've always been interested in languages and books. So through reading and helping lecturers, because I was at the University of Zambia initially in my country, I was studying law. So through helping lecturers and working, doing odd jobs for lecturers, I was introduced by a lecturer to an international program. Would you like to apply just for the sake of it? And the way I applied was by the way, like, fine, let me just apply. I don't think anything will come out of it.
Okay.
Really, that's how it happened. So I applied for this thing online, and luckily they were looking specifically for international students, and then from third world countries, second world countries who are able to speak English. That was the basic requirement, and having completed your education. So when I say goals, for example, my story won't apply to everybody. If you like doing nails, don't limit yourself. Say you have a goal to leave the country or work somewhere else. Don't just limit yourself to doing the nails. I always emphasize on reading, because when you read, you gain more knowledge. When you read online books, even talking to you, the way I go through your pages, you find links to other things. That is how you find out about different opportunities. I was telling my sister about an opportunity in the US that they were giving for visas. Most people don't know about this, but it's just simply picking up a book or researching on a thing. So because history requires me to do a lot of research, I dive into a lot of different aspects that have led me to this place. So it was a lucky coincidence. And so I would advise anybody no matter how small your field is or how big your field is or important or not important, the more time, like I said, learn the rules. Don't rush to play the game. Acquire as much knowledge as you can about the thing. Find out what's going on the international stage. This word global is not what it meant 15 years ago. The reason why it's being used a lot is because integration is happening fast. People don't understand that you have opportunities you did not have before. Go online, search, look up different things, look up opportunity, like just globally what is happening with nails. Where are people going? I've met ladies here who began in France, suffered in France learning how to do nails, came back here, went to Spain, then back here, but now they have their own shops. They are doing the nails. But the sacrifice and the patience to learn a trade, to perfect it, as well as research. You research all the time. You will bump into an opportunity. It's not everybody who come here because they've got a rich father, or everybody who come here because they have connections, or everybody who come here to, the usual stereotype. Sometimes your own efforts will reward you. That's what I think. And one of the best pieces of advice that never fails: acquire as much knowledge about what you love. Perfect your art so that when you come even to a place like this, you already have value. You're not looking for value.
You stand out.
You are giving value.
Thank you so much. Okay, like
Oh, I'm going all over the place with
that is it. Okay, like again, I just want us to exhaust everything because I don't know. Definitely, people are going to make demand of you. You
Oh
understand? I quite
wow.
understand that. Yes, without being having any doubt that people are going to make a demand that will visit you again. Please, can you just shift here because when do have interview like this, our audience do require that we visit some people again and again. I believe you will be such a person. Please, okay, now when you finally conclude this very study, maybe after 3 years from now, what is the next thing? Are you staying back to grab opportunity, or you intend to return to Africa to establish yourself?
Um, Ultimately, I won't say at the end of the 3 years because that's too soon to predict something like that.
Okay.
At the end of my education, I would like to see what's possible because if it's possible for my papers work better here, I would like to work. If my papers that I acquire here work for me in my country, I will go back. The reason why that thing is not important is you are able to aid those you love and appreciate wherever you are. I know people who want me to say, "Oh, I'm going back home," or "I'm staying here." I feel that I will stay wherever I'm most useful. Ultimately, if you're asking me for a 10-year plan or at the end of my life, of course, all that I acquire by then, which I hope will be a lot, I want to put it back in my home country. And specifically, I want to target the children. I want them to understand something we lacked, a lot of people in Africa lack, and it's not because I want to sound mean. Even I myself have been a victim of it. We do not understand the value of knowledge. We want to eat, we want to sleep, we want to dance, we want to drink. But we forget that we are here not only to do those things, we are here to be more. And whether you are 50, and that's the problem we have. We think when we reach 30 years old in Africa, we've retired. I'll give you one example here. You see 75-year-old men still jogging. That's the sort of persistence I want to instill in my nephews, my nieces, and whichever children I'll have an opportunity to work with. Why? I want them to understand that knowledge is forever. Once you acquire knowledge, you acquire a skill, you perfect a trade, and you don't stop learning. Don't worry about where you are. You keep putting in your best. You are invaluable. By that I mean your value is endless. Wherever you go, people want to do their nails. Wherever you go, people want to eat. Wherever you go, there will be people who need to learn about history, for example. Put more of your efforts, more of your time and your space into knowledge, not looking good, not pleasing the white man. No, no, it's not for anybody. Even the way you carry yourself, based on how much you know, will fulfill you in ways you will not understand. I can't emphasize that enough. And so for me, I don't mind where I am. For the next few years, I want to be where I'm most productive, where I'm most valuable, where I'm most useful. So that when I go back and tell my nephew, my niece, and the little children that I hope to help, I say, when I say read, I know what I mean. When I say do this, travel, talk to people, they will remember me after I'm gone and say, I see why that woman emphasized that books are more important than parties. Books are more important than cartoons. I know it doesn't sound fun. Books are also more important than beauty. I can never emphasize this enough. You can be beautiful, you can be handsome, but those things fade, do they not, eventually?
They do.
But your mind is something that God has given you that has the ability to always receive new knowledge. You just stop doing it yourself. When you pick up a book, you have decided to add. When you don't pick it up, you stay the same. It's that simple.
Thank you so much, because what you just said reminded me of the greatest scientist of history. I can't quite lay my hands on the name right now. I think I forgot his name. The man is on wheelchair. I think I've read something history about him. He's on wheelchair and is the greatest of all time scientists. He's on wheelchair and is this gadgets fits on him, which he communicates. It doesn't work. It doesn't talk. He talks through some mediums and all
Yeah,
that.
the tubes. What are you talking about?
I forgot this.
Is he still alive?
He's still alive. Yeah,
Oh, no, no, then I don't know him.
he's still alive. I think so. Why do I bring about that one? Because if you look at him, there is nothing pleasant about him
Yeah,
in physical look.
yeah.
You understand? If you look at him, in main appearance, it looks like something you should do away with. But because of the knowledge in him, they have to do everything
To
to
keep
keep him
him.
because the world need him. You understand me?
Yes.
That is what you just said, that book knowledge is
Knowledge.
much valuable than beauty,
Yes.
and whatever you, there is nothing you can compare to knowledge.
There is nothing.
Thank you so much. That was great. And again, lastly, let me ask you, you know the reason why I asked you that question, whether you would like to grab opportunity after concluding your study or you want to return to Africa, because I see that today there are a lot of brains, Africa brains, who came here to study and acquire skills or knowledge in order to for them to return back to Africa to better the land or the continent. But because of the opportunity here, you will see them even imparting this Western world the more, and Africa is lacking behind. You understand? So, don't you think it would be much better, no matter what the opportunity that we have here? I know it's profitable for us to work here, gain finance, gain influence, and all that. Don't you think that it will be much impactful to our continent if we should gather this brain and return back to our nation, just like these Italians went to other civilized countries years, centuries back, and get wisdom and return back to their land, forsaking every benefit that was given to them there.
Yeah.
And today we can see all these beautiful structures, the roads, and every history of this land, because there was people who sacrificed their comfort to return back to impart this place. Don't you think the same thing is applicable to Africa?
I think it is. And I'm about to say something a bit controversial.
All right.
So if I'm sick, if I'm not feeling well, are you going to help me by also not feeling well? By making yourself sick?
No?
You help me if you're strong.
Yeah.
And you help me if you're able to take me to the hospital.
Yeah.
In the same way, let us not condemn our brothers and sisters who grab opportunities. Like I said, if you were given, if someone else was given the same opportunity in Africa who's condemning me right now, they would take it. Or the man who's decided to stay here. What I would condemn is someone who stays here and does not assist anybody. That's my first point. The second point, so I asked you about being sick because I wanted, put it in this sense. I finished school. I have not found a job. I have not tried my options. I have not seen anything. I just rush back so that I go and show off at home. I'm done, or I go on to help, but I'm not actually useful. I have not acquired any skills. I have not, it's just an example. There are people who go back and there's something to do, it's good. But be where it is most advantageous for you, because the reason why I say that is that you are most useful when you are strongest, when you are at your best, when you are at your richest, when you are at your highest, not when you lower yourself to make yourself feel better. That's not what we're aiming for. That's what I'm trying to remove, that mindset. Let people call you what they want, as long as you help them when they need you. And you go back to your country to give back. When a little girl looks at me right now, I go back to Zambia, and the only thing I have to say is, I've been to Italy, I've been to Italy, I've been to Italy. The only thing that girl is going to hear is, I've been to Italy, I've been to Italy, and the fact that you have to boast in life. But if I go back there, I've had years of traveling, of facing racism, conquering burdens, acquiring knowledge. When I stand in front of a young girl with those years in between us, it doesn't matter how long I've been away from home. Think of it as a sacrifice. When I tell her, if you step into that world, this is what you expect. This is what you do. This is what I've learned. She will see from what I have achieved. It will speak for itself. I don't even have to preach. You inspire by being at your best. You don't inspire when you're at your lowest. So that's why I said, go. If you focus on what people think of you while you're on your way, if you focus on what people think of you while you're still making your cake, you stop baking and you spoil it. Bake to the end. If it takes you 15 years to remove the perfect cake, do it, because you're going to give your children the best cake. Don't rush. I don't know how I can emphasize that. All that is not important. If you have achieved maximum capacity in 3 years, go back home. If you've achieved maximum capacity in 15 years, go back. If you never achieve it, stay where you are. But be where you are at your best, because that is when you inspire. no other time.
Okay, thank you. So honestly, yeah, we are not saying, yeah, I quite understand you. We are not disputing the fact that we are condemning or say why must you remain? No, why must this one remain? No, we are just saying in all ramifications that whatever we acquire, let us see that, okay, just like as you said before, that, but in the end of all conclusion, that your own aim is to return back to Africa.
Yes,
So
and
this is
also
what,
help.
and so this is what we are focusing on, because this knowledge we are talking about that you have today now, another person also has it, another person also has it. We all Africans will put our heads together, definitely.
Yes.
In the nearest future, we are going to make our continent great if we can come together to assimilate all this wisdom together to develop our continent. So this is what we are just saying. We are not saying that after concluding your education after the space of 3 years,
You have to
run
go back.
There is no finance. Please, I just need to get. Yet you don't have the finance to back your action. You don't have the connections to back it.
So you go back and
definitely
you,
it's not going to be of any
you're not
yield.
useful.
It's not going to
No.
yield any benefit at all. So I quite understand you quite all right.
So I agree with you. Going back to your country is the best, is something you must do out of duty for me.
Yeah.
But also, I think helping, aiding is the most important thing. And then when you go back more useful than you came. Okay, that is the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
Because you will not be of any use to those coming behind you if you have nothing to give. And I'm not talking about money. I am talking about experience, wisdom, plus, yes, money, what you have earned.
Money is still included, because definitely after the wisdom you have to, the money have to sponsor the wisdom as
Yes.
well. Yeah, it's very important. Thank you so much once again. What would be your last word of advice to the people who will be coming across this video all over the world? What would be your last word of advice to
All
them
over the
who are
world.
still
Wow.
who are still looking down on themselves, that it's impossible for them to attain this kind of position here and there just because they are in the foreign land?
Oh, so Africans who are in foreign lands specifically.
And that in foreign land
Everybody.
everywhere, all around.
Okay. The one thing, and I think that won't change, that I'll say is you must always know why you are doing something.
Okay.
If you know why you're doing something, you cannot be pushed here or there. And small problems of life like racism or difficulty, heartache, will not sway you. Like the Bible says, a house built on the sand will crumble. I think something like that.
Yeah.
But a house built on a strong foundation.
Rock.
Yes. So a rock is that goal. Africa, wherever you are, Africans in whatever part of the world, no matter how extreme your circumstances are or however great they are, once you have a goal and you keep your mind on your goal, you can climb any mountain. I don't doubt that. It's not for the faint-hearted. Traveling is not for the faint-hearted. It is for those who want to make a change, not for themselves. It's not always fun, but you have to do it. It's not for the faint-hearted.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you this time. We never take it for granted. And I still want to beg you, don't be surprised tomorrow that we are going to call upon you. If peradventure or by any chances that our audience make demand of you, just as I said earlier, we have occasions like this. Whenever we have an interview like this, they do ask that we visit such a person, most especially when they love the wisdom or the knowledge that was being dished out from such a guest. I believe you are such of
Oh,
people.
no.
You understand? Yeah, you are one of such. Understand? Thank you so much. We never take this for granted. From our heart, we really love you and we appreciate you for this. And we wish you the best. And we pray that the next time we're going to meet you, we are going to meet you at your apex. You are going to be at your zenith, and you are going to be among those black people or Africans who attain the position of which no one can imagine. This is our prayer for you.
Thank you.
And we hope to see it very soon.
Okay.
As soon as possible.